to 1.5 grams of meth every single day.
Yeah, 8 weeks.
And I was just a nutcase, an absolute psychotic nutcase.
You would be taking that.
And so what happened is, I tried my hand at drug dealing because I thought I can't sustain a job anymore, going out for 5 nights straight and then coming up with some excuse of some sickness at my work. I was working at the Treasury Casino in Brisbane as a chef, and I'd work there for 8 hours, and I'd work 4 hours over at the convention centre, and the 4 hours over at the convention centre would support my drug habit, and the 8 hours over there would try and support my mortgage, but eventually one life took over the other. The drugs took over. And I went, well, I saw some of my mates deal, and I thought, I can deal. They seemed to be making money hand over fist, so I thought, oh yeah, let's do that. I'll make a career move to become a drug dealer. Seemed logical at the time. Anyway, I was an absolute crap drug dealer. Absolutely terrible. I'd take too much of my own product. I'd be sharing it with all my mates, and I'd be trusting these junkies to go and sell it for me, and then they'd just rip me off. And so I'd be spending all night chasing these junkies, trying to, get my money back. Anyway, I remember one time I had, I think I'd sold a couple of packets, and I had a bit of money, but I didn't have enough money to pay the drug dealer back. I was always getting it on tick, and then I put the little bit of money I had on black at the casino, thinking, what a great decision, and then I lost it all. Anyway, I ended up owing the drug dealer about 10 grand. And he came around to collect one day. Now, during this time, there was a couple of times where I'd had a couple of impressive street fights where there was a lot of commotion around it, and people were talking, and it's like Chinese whispers, and it got better and better, the story, every time it got told. Okay? And so it become like, so basically, I kicked this guy in the head and knocked him out. When they had those 3 a.m. shutouts, remember the nightclubs had the 3 a.m. shutouts, supposed to stop violence, just made everything worse. Yeah. But, and this guy comes out, and he's at me, and I took one step back and kicked him in the head and knocked him out. And because there were so many witnesses, and people knew who I was, and then the story just got better, and it ended up like a Jackie Chan movie. Right? By the time I got back to my drug dealer, it was like a Jackie Chan movie. Beat up these 15 guys, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I didn't correct my drug dealer on that. When he came round, I said, and I knew that reputation was out. I didn't correct anyone on that. I thought, yeah, that'll work for me. And he bought this big goon, and I said, look, if it's going to go that way, you'll need 2 of those blokes. Yeah. And he put his arm around me. He goes, no, I want to offer you a job. I said, what do you mean? He goes, look, you owe me 10 grand. You can pay it off by working for me, right? Or you can pay it off other ways, but you're better off working for me. So he wanted me to watch his back in the clubs and then do collections on drug dealers and junkies and stuff. And so I ended up doing, I liked the part about watching his back in the club. I felt like a bit of a celebrity, So all the clubs that he would go into, the DJ knew, and he would start scratching and go, the doctor's here, like the doctor, the drugs, and anyway. And then they used to scratch this song, watch out for the hitman. I would walk in like some kind of celebrity, just no idea. Anyway, and just Plotsky, man. You can be a couple of kilos swinging off a rib cage with no self-value, no nothing, and still feel like you're killing it on the meth. That's the reality. That's how it deceives you.
Yeah. And you see things too, eh?
Yeah. That's it, man. You got it. So anyway, I didn't like the collections. It was home invasions and everything. I don't like hurting people, especially people I don't know. They haven't done anything to me. But I would just get all these drugs and I'd block it out. My dealer would give me drugs, money, women, cars, anything I wanted. And so I got addicted to the lifestyle then as well as the drugs. But one day it was a hectic world, I was always after someone was after me. I'm always looking over my shoulder. I started getting real freaking paranoid. And I'm like, I would think that this old woman was walking this pram. I thought, she's a D. She's definitely a D. because an old lady doesn't walk a pram with nothing in it. She's a D. And so I remember hiding somewhere in this clothing store like this, big tough man, and I'm looking at that and thinking she's a D, and she's come to get me. I got so paranoid that I was scared of my own shadows. I remember knocking on the psych ward, asking them to let me in, but they wouldn't. Anyway, it came to a point in my life where, see, there's a passage in the Bible, it's called the prodigal son. And I was that prodigal son, just lived out there with prodigal living, and it says he woke up in a pig pen, eating the pig food. And he said, even the servants in my father's house, even the servants in my father's house live better than this. I've got to go back there. And the Bible says that he came to himself, right? And I had this moment of clarity where in the midst of all this chaos, where I came to myself and I said, how did my life become this?